In a small town, nestled among quiet green hills, lived a boy named Ethan. He was an ordinary boy, just like any other. He went to the local school, played with his friends in the sun-drenched fields, listened to the birds sing their morning songs, and spent hours watching fluffy clouds drift lazily across the vast blue sky. This was his world, simple and sweet. But within this idyllic life, Ethan carried a heavy secret. He struggled with studying. It was like a locked door he couldn't find the key for. No matter how many times he read the words, they seemed to jumble together, a meaningless puzzle. No matter how hard he tried to solve math problems, the numbers danced mockingly on the page, refusing to make sense. His classmates, not always understanding his struggle, would often laugh when he made mistakes in class. Their giggles were like little pebbles thrown at him, each one chipping away at his fragile confidence. He started to dread school. The once friendly classroom felt like a courtroom where he was always on trial. Slowly but surely, Ethan began to believe what the laughter suggested, that he just wasn't smart enough. He started to shrink, to make himself smaller, hoping no one would notice him. He stopped raising his hand, even when he thought he might know the answer. The fear of being wrong, of hearing that familiar snicker, was too great. One afternoon, feeling particularly down after a difficult math test, Ethan didn't go home. Instead, he wandered into the old town library, a place he usually avoided. It was quiet, filled with the gentle scent of old paper and wood polish. He found a secluded corner and sat down, burying his face in his hands. It was there that an elderly librarian, Mrs. Gable, found him. She had kind eyes that crinkled at the corners when she smiled. "A tough day?" she asked softly, her voice like the rustle of turning pages. Ethan just nodded, unable to speak past the lump in his throat. Mrs. Gable didn't press him for details. Instead, she pulled a book from a nearby shelf. It wasn't a textbook. It was a book filled with intricate drawings of fantastical machines and flying contraptions. "This was Leonardo da Vinci's notebook," she said. "He was a great artist, an inventor, a musician. But you know, some say he had trouble with formal learning, especially with Latin, which was the language of scholars back then." She opened the book to a page showing a detailed sketch of a wing. He didn't learn the way everyone else did. He learned by observing, by drawing, by building. He saw the world differently. Ethan looked up, captivated by the drawings. He had always loved to doodle, to sketch the birds he saw and the imaginary castles he built in his mind. But he always thought it was just a silly waste of time, something that got him into trouble for not paying attention in class. "He drew these?" Ethan asked, tracing the lines of a flying machine with his finger. "He did," Mrs. Gable confirmed with a smile. "Learning isn't a one-size-fits-all coat, my dear. Some people learn by reading, some by listening, and some, like you, perhaps, learn by seeing and doing." That day, something shifted inside Ethan. For the first time, he felt a spark of hope. Maybe he wasn't broken. Maybe his brain just worked differently. He started visiting the library every day after school. Mrs. Gable became his guide. She didn't give him textbooks. Instead, she gave him books on architecture with beautiful pictures of buildings, books on botany with detailed illustrations of plants, and biographies of great thinkers who had unconventional learning paths. Ethan started drawing again. But this time it wasn't just doodling. He started drawing what he was learning. To understand the water cycle, he drew a huge mural showing clouds, rain, rivers, and the sun, each part connected with arrows and little notes. His drawing was so clear and detailed that even his friends who were good at reading found it easier to understand. To learn history, he built small models of ancient castles and Roman aqueducts out of cardboard and clay. He could remember the date of a battle by remembering how he built the model of the battlefield. He was learning, truly learning, and for the first time, he was enjoying it. He discovered that when he could turn an abstract concept into something tangible, something he could see and touch, it clicked in his mind. His grades began to improve, but more importantly, his confidence started to blossom. He realized his unique way of seeing the world wasn't a weakness, it was a strength. One day, the school announced a science fair. In the past, Ethan would have hidden in the corner, terrified of participating. But this time, was different. He decided to build a working model of a Rube Goldberg machine to demonstrate the principles of physics chain reactions, momentum, and energy transfer. It was an ambitious project. He spent weeks in his garage, surrounded by dominoes, marbles, toy cars, and pieces of wood. He sketched his design meticulously, planning every single step. There were many failures. Dominoes fell too early, marbles rolled off track, and levers didn't trigger. The old Ethan would have given up, convinced of his own failure. But the new Ethan saw each mistake not as a failure, but as a puzzle to be solved. He would adjust an angle here, add a little weight there, and try again. He was learning physics, not from a book, but by experimenting, by feeling the forces at play. His father, seeing his son so engaged and determined, started helping him, not by giving him answers, but by holding things in place and offering encouragement. On the day of the science fair, the gymnasium was buzzing with students and their projects. There were volcanoes erupting with baking soda and vinegar, and charts explaining photosynthesis. And then there was Ethan's project. It was a sprawling, intricate contraption that covered an entire table. It looked chaotic, yet there was a clear, brilliant logic to it. When it was his turn to present, Ethan took a deep breath. He set a single marble at the starting point and gave it a gentle push. The whole room went quiet. The marble rolled down a ramp, hitting a line of dominoes that snaked across the table. The last domino tipped a cup of water, which filled a small bucket, causing a lever to lift and release another ball. The machine came alive in a cascade of motion and sound. A toy car zoomed down a track. A small bell rang, and a series of pulleys hoisted a little flag that read the end. The entire sequence lasted for almost a minute, a perfect, uninterrupted chain reaction. When the flag went up, there was a moment of stunned silence, followed by a burst of applause that echoed through the gym. His classmates, even the ones who used to laugh at him, were staring in awe. They weren't just impressed, they were fascinated. They crowded around his table, asking him how he built it, how he figured out the angles and weights. Ethan, standing tall, explained every step with a newfound confidence. He wasn't just reciting facts from a book. He was sharing a story. His story. The story of his creation. He pointed to different parts of the machine, explaining the concepts of potential and kinetic energy in a way that was simple, visual, and incredibly effective. He had taken a complex subject and made it accessible and fun for everyone. He didn't win first prize the day that went to a very well-researched project on solar panels. But Ethan had won something far more valuable. He had won back his self-worth. From that day on, no one laughed at Ethan anymore. They respected him. They saw his unique talent, his ability to think outside the box and create amazing things. Ethan continued to learn in his own way, using his artistic skills and his hands-on approach to master even the most difficult subjects. He realized that the world needed all kinds of minds, the book-smart, the street-smart, the artistic, and the builders. Every mind has its own unique way of shining. Ethan's journey teaches us that true intelligence is not about getting the best grades or fitting into a mold. It's about finding your own unique way to learn, to grow, and to share your light with the world. And sometimes, all it takes is one person who believes in you and one book of fantastical drawings to help you see that the key to your own potential was in your hands all along. Thanks for watching. If this story inspired you, please give it a like and subscribe for more content. See you next time.